it.
Right. I suppose you know what you're getting into.
Well, I mean, really, actually, you didn't know what you were getting into because a lot of times, the children of God, it would start off with, you couldn't even hold each other's hands. They really edged people into this.
But that's just for the lifers. Those are the people who've been there since the very beginning. That shit flipped. Like, really, really fast. At this point, they're traveling all over the world. Once they got to the point that they were moving from compound to compound, when they got away from Fred Jordan's ranch, and they were, like, basically on the run 24/7, that's when people started fucking.
Yeah.
Okay. God, that must have been exciting, though, if not incredibly stinky, and also against every rule of family that's ever been.
Yeah, it's like a non-musical version of when the band and Janis Joplin all got on that train.
Yeah, but
Neil Young was there and Bob Dylan. They went through Canada.
But it's not. It said, imagine if Neil Young was also your fresh, perfect daughter.
I see. It's another time where you seem to be caught up on that.
I have no choice.
Well, I don't. You do have it. Well, we're going to move on.
Now, as with everything else in the Children of God, Berg tightly controlled every aspect of flirty fishing. Here are, according to David Berg in an illustrated Mo letter of the same name, the 7 F's of FFing.
What is it with it about cults and using acronyms and using like and initials?
Because they have to repeat this stuff over and over and over again. And if people hear just an acronym, they don't have to necessarily think about a concept anymore. They just think about it as
like
terms.
Technical terms. It's because Scientology is obviously very guilty of that with
and
the SPs and all the fucking horseshit.
Well, they repeat this shit over. They have to repeat it over and over so much to really get it stuck in their members' heads, and it gets a little cumbersome to say flirty fishing over and over and over and over again.
It's also interesting, maybe only to me, but the fact that in the older ideas of earlier Jewish religions and Christian religions, it kind of seemed like they put more emphasis on the long things and the big long Latin masses and reading through the huge tomes of the Torah, where they thought that was more important because it was big and lofty and really complicated, where now in modern times it has to be really short and simple, and it has to be like TGIF.
Yeah, thank God it is Friday.
Now, let's go through these 7 FFs. Number 1, effective.
That's an E, though.
Hold on. It has 2 F's in it, so if all these words have 2 F's in it, I'll still give them FFs.
All right, sounds good. Effective. In just the first 4 years of FFing, Berg said they witnessed to over 400,000 souls, meaning that they talked to 400,000 people. They tried 400,000 times. They cast that lure out, whereas they only actually fucked 63,000.
What's the percentages on that?
1 out of 7.
Hell yeah.
Was Wilt Chamberlain a child of God?
Yeah, he was
3,000?
He was half of that.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah, and out of those 1 out of 7, half of those stayed in the Children of God. I mean, 1 out of 2 ain't bad. That's pretty good percentages.
1 out of 2 out of 1 out of 7.
Yeah.
So that's actually, I think, 1 out of 14.
I think it's 0.5 out of 7.
Is it 1 out of 14? I don't know if that is.
Everybody's shut up.
Hey,
I'm not a calculator.
It's not a math podcast.
Number 2, effective.
That's not a word.
Which is the same thing. He just made a new word and made it number 2.
Effective?
Effective and effective. You got to be effective and you got to be effective.
David Berg again, refreshing in the way that he was very silly.
Oh, and he got drunk.
Yes.
Oh, we'll call it effective.
And he was like specifically wine drunk, which is like
Yeah.
the type of drunk where like bubbles are coming out of your mouth and you're fingering your family. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, again.
Red teeth. Number 3.
Yeah, that makes the whole thing so much more.
It just reminded me, imagine my Grimace was my grandfather and he was blowing me as a child.
Number 3, fruitful. That's the part he finally got to an F.
Hey, all
Fruitful.
right.
Do it as much as you possibly can with as many people as you possibly can.
Hell yeah.
Number 4, efficient.
Okay. All right, I mean,
really
at
bothering
this
me.
point, he's already fucking everybody, so it doesn't even matter. He's already torn your family apart. You can't sit here and mince words about fucking Fs.
Well, I guess that is another 2 F word, though.
Yeah, it
It's in
is.
a strange way this is working out.
Yeah, I kind of got, you know what? I'm kind of with you on that. So as far as efficient goes, by the time flirty fishing came around, Berg had begun to abandon hippies completely. He said that their message, quote,
must now be spread amongst our rich elders and influential businessmen, politicians, and government leaders if we're able to obtain their favor and protection and to continue to have opportunities to reach their young.
Good Christ. All
He's
these...
right, though.
Now, the fifth one, or actually, number 5, financial. Make your catches so grateful of your sexual skills that they, at the very least, will make a donation. And not coincidentally, a lot of FFers also worked as escorts.
No way.
That's stunning. So I love that he does call the John Payne, the prostitute, just a nice donation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's tipping him.
Yeah, it's a little tip. I don't know where the tip jar is.
I think
but
they should be paid a living wage.
I agree with that.
Number 6, official. 2 Fs.
Okay, wow.
I mean, the rule's already been set up.
And that's make sure you fuck influential people who might be in a position to help out the family should any legal trouble arise.
And that's just a good lesson for life. For anybody out there. Fuck somebody important. It'll help you.
Yeah, ruin their life. Look what happened to Elliot Spitzer. If they leave their socks on, they got money. That's a fact.
Yeah, because he's too busy.
Too busy. Don't take the socks off.
And number 7, forever.
Hey, all right.
In the first 4 years of FFing, 300 children had been born from the practice, as birth control or even pulling out was not allowed in the children of God. And these kids were known as Jesus babies, the most famous of which we'll get to know later on.
And again, this is a really surefire, this is a perfect way to add numbers to your cult.
Yeah.
It isn't the perfect way to add numbers to your cult.
Yes,
How about
it
having
is.
a message that doesn't involve prostitution?
Because then it wouldn't
and then
be
you
a
just
cult.
slowly have it.
Because eventually it wouldn't be a cult. It would become like a business. It would become something good. In order for it to stay, if you want to not fucking sell out and stay a cult, you get your followers to have unprotected sex with various rich men, get their cash, have babies into the cult. Now you're getting numbers.
I guess so, but what guy doesn't wear a condom when having sex with a prostitute? That's going to be a massive red flag.
Influential businessmen.
And Europeans.
They don't wear condoms?
Nah.
Well, they're
That's a big jump.
uncircumcised. So
That's a big jump. I think we're going to get letters on that. But I do
don't know.
concur. I do imagine that most Europeans, they just shoot it wherever it comes out.
It seems to be confusing for the John.
And this is also the 70s as well.
Oh, no rules.
Yeah. No, this is the 70s. No rules, just right. So, Karen Zerby, Berg's wife, a.k.a. the new wine.
And nothing's better than a fresh, brand new wine.
She was the very first flirty fisher. Now, while her and Berg were living in England in the early 70s, they came upon the idea that the most effective way to get people to listen to their message was to just fuck them first.
The first one is that he said, "Hey, Karen, can you go out and blow that guy over there? I want a Snickers."
I mean, it's not wrong. I understand what they really just went for the most simple plan possible.
They really did, yeah. And so Zerby took ballroom dancing lessons and hit the London nightclub scene. Her first successful fishing expedition brought home an Englishman who was dubbed King Arthur by David Berg in a series of 23 Mo letters called King Arthur's Knights, the Night Crawlers.
I just feel like he might have liked him more than she did.
He does talk about sexy men quite a bit.
He does.
He says these. I actually don't think he did a lot of homosexual activity. I don't know. I think maybe he dabbled. It was definitely in there.
I think he tried it out and just didn't like it.
I think he liked watching his quote-unquote wives have sex with other men.
Yeah.
I think there was something about that he really liked. Because he obviously is getting off sexually about them going out and having sex with these men.
He just likes people to be happy around him. I guess. I don't know.
Is he saying he's like a good party host? Like he's
I
Jimmy
don't
Fallon?
know. I mean, I think they're having fun sex around him, and he's just kind of eating cheese. And
I think there's a lot of quiet crying happening.
I don't know.
No, in the series, King Arthur's Knights, the Night Crawlers, written about 2 years after the expedition itself, Berg said that since being brought into the cult, King Arthur had become a central member in his inner circle, and that this was proof to Berg that the method worked, and so it was expanded to all members. The first place that flirty fishing was widely practiced was in Tenerife in Spain under Berg's personal direction.
Now, this was actually, Tenerife is actually an island of the Spanish coast. I looked it up on a map. And
good.
They say that it's a very interesting, in the book what we've been reading for we're getting a lot of research from, Jesus Freaks, they say that it's very interesting that he really solidified the flirty fishing concept while at a bar hammered. Yeah. He was at a island bar drinking fruity margaritas with his 5 wives around him, literally going like,
You know what would be kind of fucking awesome? If y'all started fucking them for money, and I got the money.
If you like pina coladas.
It's literally that song, but mixed with a cult.
Yeah, he had a group of about 20 people, both men and women, and those people were instructed to cast their nets as wide as they could to catch as many fish as possible. He tested it out with these 20 people for a couple of years before he actually put it out into the general population.
What an incredible life that must have been for a hot second, that leader of that cult. I mean, it's just, it's
For the
terrible.
prostitutes?
No, not for them. David Burke. He's there
Yes.
on an island bar. You got the steel drums. Bang, dong, ding, bo, ding, dong, ding, dong, ding. Every day.
I think that's the Caribbean. I don't think that's in Spain.
That's an island. Isn't it? I don't know.
Everybody's got steel drums.
Just because it's an island doesn't mean it has
If a
steel
country
drums.
has pans, they have a steel drum.
Ding, dong, ding. Steel drum's the easiest
Whatever.
fucking instrument to play. You just go ding dong ding, ding dong ding. He's there for 4 years. The party's never got to stop. He just switches out the wives. He's just sitting there just eating nothing but coconut shrimp.
Ooh, I love coconut shrimp. Ooh, I'm going to Applebee's today.
Can you
I've
imagine?
decided.
There's nothing better in the world than a Lido deck on a cruise. Can you imagine your whole life being a Lido deck? There's
What a
nothing
Lido deck is.
depressing
Yeah, what is a
about that.
Lido deck?
Lido deck.
You're a white trash person from Florida. What's a Lido deck?
Lido deck is where
Please.
a lot of times they'll have a hamburger bar or a sundae bar next to the Lido deck. The Lido deck is not the general population like sunning deck where you go down. The Lido deck is normally an elevated thing where the people that don't want to take their clothes off in front of everyone sit on lawn chairs.
So it's
But you
the
can
large-
eat.
they're
That's where you
larger
keep the
people.
food though, but it's fun.
So it's the
It's the fat cruise area.
Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Dabrowski, right this way.
Yes. So you got extra Coke everywhere? Thank God. Oh, God. Oh, 47 ounces of Coke. You're going to take this 47-ounce glass from my dead hands.
Just enjoy the hamburger buffet. Okay, just enjoy it.
Every 2 hours they re-up it.
Really?
There's a tone. There's like a ding dong.
Oh,
it
my
plays
God.
every 2 hours when they re-up the buffet.
Like drooling fat dogs. Yes.
But that's the dream life. David Burke's living the dream.
I have a question when it comes to the male prostitutes. If the whole point is to get impregnated, the theory then would be the guys are trying to impregnate women and then they have to convince them to have the kid in the cult?
The point isn't to get impregnated. Getting impregnated is a wonderful side. It's a happy accident. It's a happy side effect. The whole point is to bring new people into the cult.
That's what my
And
parents said I was.
a happy accident? Yeah. Oof. Boy, that's just a way of saying they don't want you.
But at least they're flipping it and saying happy accident.
Happy accident.
Well, really, the men, what their job was, I'm pretty sure, because I was really thinking about it and trying to figure out why they were bringing in the men,
Right.
and that really comes in with the catacombers. And the catacombers were members of the cult who were not allowed to say that they were members of the cult. It was named after the old Christians who had to hide in the catacombs to meet and worship and all that. But the reason why they were catacombers and why they couldn't tell anybody about being in the cult was because they were all underage. And I'm pretty sure that the men flirty fishers were there to lure in underage girls.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So
You
just
gotta
with-
pat it.
Really, over the years, they'd catch Arab oil millionaires, international financiers, military officers, among many other regular people, most of whom, at the very least, contributed financially to the children of God. And some flirty fishers dispensed with any pretense that they were actually prostitutes. Like I said, they called themselves hookers for Jesus.
I do want to get a baseball jacket that says hooker for Jesus.
That is kind of fun. That is fun.
Yeah, and they participated in what they called ESing, or escort servicing.
Again, a perfect example of taking the escort out of it.
Yeah.
Like basically you take the word out of it, so you take the power away from the idea that you're actually having sex for money.
Yeah, exactly. But because Berg had banned all contraceptives, the children of God became a breeding ground for VD. But Berg said not to worry, writing,
Can you trust God you won't catch anything, including a germ or a sperm, and that even if you do, he'll keep or heal or help you to bear all things? Come on, man. Dig it. Get groovy with it, buddy. You got a bit of a... Is that a mole? Oh, you should get that checked out because it is growing. But don't worry. God will heal it.
It's like a disgusting Dr. Seuss.
Here's $5 coupon to the Burger King. Go over there and enjoy yourself. All right? Forget about that pesky, oh my God, it is spreading visibly in front of my eyes.
This looks like the map from Outbreak, slowly turning red.
Further demonstrating his control, Berg made each colony fill out heavily detailed monthly FF report forms that would be mailed to the Children of God's Italy office. These things were extremely detailed. They had to say exactly how many times they'd done it that month. They'd have to say if they had done it with a live-in, which is somebody who was brought into the cult, a friend of the cult who was someone who was a part of it but didn't live with them, or catacombers who were, as I said earlier, underage kids. They even had like an FFer of the month. They have monthly rankings.
You gotta have it. People need prizes. People need trophies.
I mean, I guess so.
They had the top, every month you had to list your top three. Who were your top three FFers? And he had a whole Mo letter that was all about what the rules of these report forms were. I read a lot of Mo letters over the last few weeks. These things are almost incomprehensible. They're rambling, and above all, they are fucking disgusting.
They're very, very disgusting.
And there's over 4,000 of them.
There's a lot to read if you're interested.
I mean, I only read a few dozen, but Jesus Christ.
Go to xfamily.org. That has all of them. Everything, the ones that they could find that are archived there, and there's a lot of the Children of God music, and then all of the story of Davidito, which we'll get into.
Or don't go to that website. Don't. Just what's on ESPN.
It's fascinating. It's all run by former cult members who have gotten out. And
what I think is so interesting, the Oakland Raiders are doing great this year.
Are they now?
Isn't that exciting?
Are they as rough and tumble as they've always
they're
been?
rough.
That is
lost to the
interesting.
Chiefs, though.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are we talking about?
Don't change the fucking subject.
We can't change the subject.
Oh,
I see.
We did a lot of work on
hours of work. I read an entire
surprisingly
book
good
about
though.
this.
Yeah, David Carr, great season. Wow, what a guy. Wow.
Everybody gather around. Gather around. Listen. This is Mary Ship. Yes, Flirty Fleischer of the month. March. Everyone give a round of applause. Isn't it absolutely the coolest, most grooviest thing on the face of the planet? Her vagina ate her own legs. And when I heard, tell me, Mary, if it is true or not, you did 12 men at once?
Yes, it was the Oakland Raiders.
Wow, isn't that exciting?
Comes back around.
Maybe that's why they're doing so well.
No, as flirty fishing was being introduced, the concept of sexual sharing was also being integrated into the Children of God's belief system. This meant that any and all Children of God members were not only permitted, not only encouraged, but were required to have sex with each other, including their own family members and including children.
The worst part is the required
Yeah,
part.
the other parts are like free will. You can do as you might want to.
Disgusting.
The required part makes it illegal, I think.
Yes.
I mean, the whole part is it's illegal to have sex with your mother. It's illegal to have sex with children.
Well, if that is wrong, if having sex with mommy is wrong, I want to be wrong.
That's how jazz music started.
What?
Yeah.
How did jazz? What?
We're gonna have to get into now. God.
Yeah,
I don't even know how to begin to
Ben
roll
Kissel's
that back.
understanding of music history.
Jazz music started.
Let's hear.
You want
it.
to get into that?
Yeah, I really want to hear how I say having sex with him.
Let's give him a solid 45 seconds to explain how jazz music was started by having sex with their own mother.
You can't have jazz music without tension. And then what's more tense than wanting to have sex with your mom? And then if you think about the horns and how fun that is for people to play, and every mother applauds a son who can play an instrument.
25 seconds. You have 15 seconds left.
Well, I don't like to get into it, but we don't know the origins of jazz, and I think it's important to remember that there's a whole series of possibilities out there.
I wish this was a live news recording, like if this was Red Eye, and then it cut to the studio audience, and you hear like the gum wrappers in their pockets move. It's so quiet.
How did jazz come about? You tell me, because
Ken Burns did like an 8-part series on it.
I'll tell you how it started.
I'm sure he covered it then. I'm sure Ken Burns had a whole chapter on the love between that.
It started just like this. First caveman to do that.
All right. Okay.
Well, let's get into one of the most infamous Mo letters. It's called "The Devil Hates Sex, but God Loves It." And this is David Berg justifying everything.
There's nothing in the world at all wrong with sex as long as it's practiced in love. Whatever it is, or whoever it's with, no matter who or what age or what relative or what matter. I'm talking about natural, normal, godly love as manifested in sex. As far as I'm concerned, for whomever. There are no relationship restrictions or age limitations in his law of love, but